Samupe, Sampadiatia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Samupe, Jumpadiatia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Oh, and you pampuma, Asam pampuma.
Hello, good evening, our One Radio listeners. We are back on our Health is Worth Protected show. This is a weekly Saturday program that we've been running for some time, and we're going to be running until Thy kingdom come. Well, I think we had a break last week. I think last week we did something. But then, as far as Know Your Numbers, the series that we've been tackling is concerned, Dr. Babatunde and I started some series on this Know Your Numbers. Basically, we're talking about, when you say know your numbers, know all the parameters. If it's your blood pressure, you know the values. According to the health people, 120/80 is the normal level. But you wonder how many people exactly get a 120/80. I mean, that is the normal. Some do, but others deviate a little bit. It doesn't mean that if you're not 120/80, you are going to die. That is not about that. It's just a standard they put there. So at least with a standard deviation, you don't go too much from that. It can be a little lower, a little higher, but not too high. So when you talk about numbers, you're also talking about your sodium level. What is your sodium level? What is your potassium level? When you go to do your labs annually, or whenever you see your physician or doctor and they do your vital signs, what are the numbers that they display to you? I mean, most people have scales in their home, especially the ladies. When they stand on the scale, they don't even want to look at the numbers. They are so scared of the number that will come, will project towards them. I mean, some are wishing that their numbers will be 150, 160, but sometimes you stand on and it says 220 and you are scared. You don't even want to eat anymore. Anyway, we started that series, Know Your Numbers. And tonight, we're going to continue. The last time we started with the growth hormone. And Dr. Babatunde took us through eloquently. Tonight, we want to continue because there were some information that had to be displayed to you. We didn't finish that, so we're going to go ahead and continue that. But anyway, let me welcome my co-host, my guest, Dr. Babatunde Oluyede, back into the studio. Of course, for those of you who have been listening to us, you know him already. He's a very, very eloquent man, very smart, very learned. He has a PhD and double masters and all that you can think. You know the Nigerians, they like going to school. Sometimes they bag all this master's degree and you don't know where they put them, but they just love to go to school. So, and Babatunde also, he is a commissioned officer with the United States Public Health Service. He and I were both prior Navy, so we have a few things in common. Just that when it comes to Nigeria and Ghana, you know the obvious question, or what makes us unique or separate us. The Ghana Jollof is always unique. So they have come to agree that Ghana Jollof is the best. All right, Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boysen, for that introduction. Thank you so much. I know Ghana Jollof with plantain and cold water.
Why cold water?
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me this afternoon or this evening, and I appreciate it. And I think we should, take this seriously as we go forward. I know this will be the remaining part of our growth hormone presentation that we had last time, and we'll be able to complete it today, I hope. And thank you again for having me, and I look forward to working with you, much more.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, if you just tune in, you are listening to us on Era One Radio. Our Saturday program is themed Health is Worth Protected. And as we always say, your health is your worth. You might have a room full of American dollars, European, whatever currency you want to think about. If you have a room full of this money or currency and you have no health, it means nothing. this morning I woke up and I feel like I was a little bit tired and I had to go to the gym, but then I said, you know what, I want to skip. But I managed to push myself to go, and after that, I felt better. So yeah, health is very important because I was saying to myself, so if you are not healthy, you are sick, and you have wealth around. How does that even matter? Because somebody else is going to spend it anyway. So your health is very important. And my so to say that even if you don't have money, you have good health is very important. But is it not possible having both? You can have health and have wealth. That is the best you want to be. Have your health and also have your wealth and enjoy them at the same time. So you can have both. Nobody says you should only have one. I mean, if you have only health and you don't have money, you can be an annoyance. People ask you for help and all you do is just quote, send them quotations. So I wish I had. Anyway, anyway, if you want to join our discussion, you can call into 240-280-2633, or you can text online 510-931-0946. So we're going to look at know your numbers, and the sub theme here is the growth hormone. Let me take a quick ad, and then when we come back, we will dive right into it. Stay put.
Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Jumpe dietia. Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Oh, ayum pamchima. Asam pamchima.
Hello, beautiful people of Ghana. This is Banahine Specialist Hospital. We are so excited to announce to our people Ghana that we are finally open and we are accepting patients. At Banahine Specialist Hospital, our extraordinary physicians and nurses are here to provide a high-quality medical service to our extraordinary patients. Our services include primary care services, maternal, neonatal, and pediatric services. We also have an in-house pharmacy. We have X-ray and laboratory services available to you. Come to us for all your healthcare needs, and you will be happy you did, because we believe the health is wealth. Thank you, and stay blessed.
All right, health is wealth. And the last time we met, I think I did read something about the growth hormone. I would just go ahead and read that portion again, and I will let Dr. Oluwade take over. So this growth hormone is a deciding factor in our growth and development. Does it have any control on how tall or short one becomes? Most likely. This is the hormone that makes us stop growing after a certain age or when it stops production. Well, for some of us, we wish ours hadn't stopped and we kept on growing and growing, but at that point, you don't grow any taller anymore. The roles of growth hormone include influencing our height and helping build our bones and muscles. Natural levels of growth hormone fluctuate during the day, seemingly influenced by physical activity. For example, levels rise when we exercise. Growth hormone levels increase during childhood and peak during puberty. And so tonight, Dr. Oluwade is going to lead us to give us more information. Normally, you can go to YouTube or go to Google and pull all the information you can. But it's not the same as having an in-person, an expert sitting in front of you live, talking to you, where you can ask questions and, get the information first. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. So, Doc, I'm going to let you take over and then lead us in the discussion. And if we have questions, we just bring them along. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boyson. Just to let you guys know that the growth hormone has different ways of testing it, but we're going to focus more on the levels that are too high or too low that can indicate serious health concerns tonight, including delayed growth and reduced bone density or Also, we can keep in mind, though, that growth hormone-related conditions are rare. Okay, a healthcare professional may order testing to check your growth hormone levels using the growth hormone suppression test or stimulation test. If your test results show unusual high level, for example, your care team will most likely order further testing. So if you're diagnosed with a growth hormone related condition, a doctor or other healthcare professionals can offer more guidance. For example, prescribe synthetic growth hormone to treat growth hormone deficiency. Early detection can increase your chances of a good outcome for both adults and children. So we're going to see what is it exactly, the normal ranges for growth hormone results. Before I'm skipping the slides, but I'll go back to the other ones to make it more, understanding for our viewers. So the range for normal results may vary depending on the lab or your healthcare professional. Generally, normal GH test results are below 0.3 nanograms per milliliter for suppression test, below 0.3 nanograms per milliliter for suppression test, or peak concentration above 4 nanograms per milliliter for stimulation test in adults, peak concentration above 5 nanograms per milliliter for stimulation test in children. And results above this range could suggest your body produces too much growth hormone. That said, some guidelines favor a peak concentration above 10 nanograms per milliliter in children to completely rule out growth hormone deficiency using stimulation test. So I'll go back to that slide in number 1 that says age under 18. It's a growth hormone stimulation test. Peak concentration greater than 10 nanogram per milliliter or 5 nanogram per milliliter, depending on the guidelines that they are using. Under 18, growth hormone suppression test. Peak concentration less than 1 nanogram per milliliter. And if you are older than 18 years, growth hormone stimulation test, peak concentration greater than 4 nanograms per milliliter. If the person is older than 18, the suppression test is peak concentration less than 1 nanograms per milliliter. And why are they choosing those values? And let me explain quickly. So when you are given this growth hormone, and your body is able to still produce less than 1 nanogram per milliliter, then they know that duly your body has some form of growth hormone. See, but if after stimulation test, like they've stimulated you, they gave you this injection, and you are still able to produce, greater than 4 nanograms per milliliter, then they know that you are, something is not wrong with your growth hormone. But if you are unable to maintain these values, then something is wrong somewhere. And that is why they say growth hormone levels that are too high or too low can indicate serious health concerns, including delayed growth and reduced bone density. Keep in mind, though, that growth hormone related conditions are rare, but at least we should still keep our mind on this.
So, Doc, in simple terms, you are saying the stimulations, your body is making too much of the hormone, and that is making either too tall or too huge. Is that what it is? I mean, just to simplify for our, lay people who are not laboratory inclined.
Yeah, so when they use stimulation test, thank you for that question. The stimulation test is to ensure that this low value that we are getting from you is actually coming from you. So, for example, somebody that has a lower value, they will try to stimulate his body to produce the growth hormone. So even after giving that person that injection to stimulate the hormone, the body is not able to produce that amount.
Okay.
See, if your body is still not able to produce that amount, then they know that something is wrong. You know,
okay. Deficiency somewhere.
With the production, yeah, it's deficient. But if it's the other way around, the other one that is suppression test. So, for example, if your body is producing a lot of growth hormone, and they now give this injection, and your body is unable to produce, you know, because this is supposed to be suppression test. It's supposed to suppress the hormone.
Yeah, looks as if your internet is going in and out.
So it's still deficient. So you might be producing a lot, but it's not really good. And then it might not be producing a lot, but it's still not within the standard limit. So that's how they get into that numbers. So for children, reason for testing growth hormone deficiency or excess GH, growth hormone. So that's the reason for testing in children. You see that? There's growth hormone deficiency, or there is excess of growth hormone. And if they observe that there's a delayed growth, if there's a delayed growth and bone development, for some reason, somebody that is 10 years old is looking like somebody that is 4 years old.
Oh, okay. So that would be the concern for a parent to find out. That,
exactly. You say, what's going on? There's no bone development here. You know, there's delayed puberty. There is below average height. You see, below average height, delayed puberty, delayed growth. I mean, it's just some kind of something that people can see. It's obvious that this child supposed.
Yeah, because when you go to see your provider, they have a chart. The chart, the physician or the doctor, you know, kind of charts for you. It's like a graph that they should tell by your age and your growth, your height and weight, where you should be at certain age. Or so if they realize that the chart is not flowing accordingly, if there's no sync there, then it becomes a concern that, okay, at the age of 12, 13, or 14, you should be at this height or you should be at this weight range. But then if you are below that, then it calls for a concern.
Right. Excellent. So issue with excess growth hormone, we have gigantism in children, you know, likelihood of growth hormone abnormality is rare. And also in adults, we have growth hormone deficiency or excess growth hormone, reduced bone density in adults, and muscle mass. Somebody, you may see someone that is looking so sick, and the muscle mass is not corresponding to the age of that individual, or abnormal cholesterol level, you know, acromegaly, you know. And this are also rare disease. It's not that it's common, but if someone fall into this category, you might see some indications of this, you know, reduced bone density and muscle mass, you know, abnormal cholesterol. So, like this doctor said, Osipov is, I think, is her name. Random growth hormone level is not a clinical relevant value if assessing for growth hormone deficiency or excess. Now he said, instead, endocrinologists will measure insulin-like growth factor 1, a protein made in response to growth hormone secretion. So this is another level. This doctor is saying that instead of them, you know, measuring the growth hormone directly, she is suggesting that the insulin-like growth factor, number 1, is what should be looked into instead. A protein made in response to growth hormone secretion. So when this protein actually is produced when growth hormone is being secreted in the body. So instead of going directly for the growth hormone measurement, she was suggesting that the insulin-like growth factor 1 should be measured instead. But this is research that is still going on, and they are working on that. When they have the proving of that result, maybe they will make it available to everyone also. All right. So I'm going to go into the interpretation of things a little bit. And see, when your doctor will receive your lab results and interpret them, in general, the result of a growth hormone serum test and an IGF, which is insulin, like, growth factor, tests don't provide enough information to diagnose a disorder related to growth hormone. If your test results indicate that you may have a growth hormone related condition or need further testing, your doctor office will usually do the following: contact you for the follow-up appointment. Number 2, order a growth hormone suppression test or order a growth hormone stimulation test, whichever one. If it's too high, he or she may order suppression test, but if it's too low,
You do a stimulation.
do a stimulation test.
Okay.
So if your suppression test reveals a high growth hormone level, this could mean your glucose didn't lower your growth hormone production as expected. See, you might have an overproduction if the IGF-1 level was also high.
Doc, one may ask, do human beings or do we have control over these?
Well, your body should, because when your body is in homeostasis, as we all know,
Okay.
because your body should be able to normalize itself.
In a balance.
In any condition, your body should be able to normalize itself. So when there is a deficiency of one thing or the other, then the body goes out of sync.
Okay.
And there's a problem somewhere. Yeah. So you may need additional tests to determine this cause. So if your GH, which is your growth hormone stimulation test results, indicate low hormone levels, you see, the stimulation test is supposed to stimulate it to produce more, right? But it's still showing low hormone level. This could mean your body didn't release as much growth hormone as expected. You have a growth hormone deficiency if your IGF-1 level, which is insulin, like, growth hormone factor, number 1, level was also low. Your doctor may recommend additional testing. So keep this in mind. It's not that when they say it's too low, then you become so scared, you panic, and you don't know what to do. Just talk to your doctor. They will refer you to go and take more testing, because if they are not sure, they have to verify and make sure that they have the right results before they start treating you. Yeah. So this is the normal ranges. Like I said earlier, the range for normal results may vary depending on the lab or your healthcare professional. Generally, normal growth hormone test results are as follows: below 0.3 nanograms per milliliter for suppression test. So when they say they're doing a suppression test, your result should be 0.3 nanograms per milliliter. And for peak concentration above 4 nanograms per milliliter for stimulation test in adults. So peak concentration above 5 nanograms per milliliter for stimulation test in children. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. So results above this range could suggest your body produces too much growth hormone. That said, some guidelines favor a peak concentration above 10 nanograms per milliliter, as we said earlier, in children, to completely rule out growth hormone deficiency using stimulation test. Children produce more of this growth hormone because they are growing. But for some reason, if after doing the suppression test and they still find out that this guy is still not producing as much as he should, then they know there's deficiency somewhere. All right. So I will stop there and maybe take some questions, and we'll go from there. And this is the other part of that presentation that we missed last time.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to let us know, at least for us to be aware of what we need to do and how to respond in case any of us have that kind of results and know what to do to follow up.
All right, thank you, Doc. Yeah, for those of you just joining or if you listening to us for the past 27 minutes, we've been talking about know your numbers, the growth hormones, and these are laboratory oriented results. I mean, we did say earlier on in our presentation, I mean, weeks ago, that what we're trying to do is to make the public aware for those of you who hate going to the lab. When you hear the lab, the only thing you hear about is that, oh, they're going to draw my blood. Of course, they're going to draw your blood. And that is where the doctors or the laboratorians will know what is in your blood, because even the Bible says that the life of every animal is in the blood. Without the blood, there's not going to, there's literally the doctor can look at your face. I call it physiognomy. Look at your face and be able to tell you what sickness you are suffering from. But most of the diagnosis come from your body fluids, either your urine, either your other fluids, your blood, and that is where they test, because that's the only place they can detect your sodium level, potassium level, this growth level. Hormones are all, most of them are tests that are performed. Doc, let me question that came up. So let's say if a woman has facial hair, that wouldn't be considered a growth hormone. That would be rather something like testosterone versus estrogen, or that could be related to growth hormone.
Well, growth hormone, as we have, I think we treated this last time, when it's too much in your body, it also affects other hormones in the body. You know, like the facial hair can start coming out in some people, and that is why you see when a male reaches certain age, you will start growing some, some hair on the facial area. That's is because at that particular time the body has gotten to that stage of producing enough hormone to sustain the production of the hair. And some ladies too do have excess of this hormone in their body, making them to have facial hair and others, growing hair in some parts of the body. I remember there was a case like that, this lady changes, I think is change her, want to change from a female to a male. So after a while, it should be the other way around, sorry. So the male was going to change to a female. And this female male was now looking like a man because it was growing hair on his face, because maybe the suppression test the suppression hormone that they were doing for her was not working properly. So I read about it in this paper, and I said, wow, how could that be? So like you said, it might be at certain point in time when a female grows to certain age, you start growing hair on your armpit, in the private area. And sometimes it might be, if there is excess of that hormone, you might start having some facial hair also. So it's not something that is abnormal at some point, but if it's too much, then you need to probably see your clinician to address that issue.
Oh, okay, all right, thanks. Let me ask this question about parents and their concern about their children reaching puberty. Is there an age where parents should be concerned that, okay, my daughter either has puberty too early or too late, or the boy is having their puberty and the breaking of their voice and their first what you call the wet experience? Is there a typical age that parents should be concerned? Because maybe experiencing this in too early an age could be a concern, and then maybe having them at a later age too could also be a concern. Is there a specific age that parents should be worried?
Well, like you said, what I would say is the parents should be very much watchful. They should be very, sensitive to the growth of their.
I think your line is breaking.
because what happened is
your
child
line broke. Yeah, so we missed some of the things you were saying.
Yeah.
We had a break
Okay.
in your voice.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as it's being put, if you go to I know is this is a NIH prescribe information that says the onset of puberty, the time in life when a person becomes sexually matured, typically occurs between ages 8 and 13 for girls, and
8 and
ages 9
13.
and 14, and ages 9 and 14 for boys. Say precocious puberty is puberty that begins abnormally early.
Too early.
And delayed puberty is puberty that begins abnormally late. So if you see and the cutoff age, as I said, counsel is also necessary about the normal timing of puberty, which is between 8 to 13 years for females and 9 to 14 for males. So if
Kosua na ti era one radio empenyini say yensoma na motenten yesoma banyasafo era one radio yedin nsem anomuaye ebrem.
Can you hear?
They are 4 women. They are beautiful with brains. They are eloquent, decent, wise, and experienced. You have heard many, the funny. Now, it's time to hear the experience and the brainy. Meet Selena, Dorcas, Gifty, and Annette as they present the real Incommon Getting. Incommon biaye sesi chain, the dead, as in takrenu assume the dead. The real Incommon Getting. Showing live this and every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Era One Radio on Facebook and on YouTube, Era One Radio and our Taibo channel. Kaise, so we see the real Incommon Getting ya. What brabon tete, we nyan konkonsa, we the real Incommon Getting.
We're losing you.
Yeah, I think that was just rolling and rolling. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Yeah,
so,
your internet has been a little bit spotty.
Okay, so is it working now?
It's working now. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so puberty is the body's natural process for sexual maturation. Puberty triggers lies in a small part of the brain called the hypothalamus, which we dealt with last time also. A gland that secretes gonadotrophin releasing hormone, which is called GnRH. So, like I said earlier, the onset of puberty, the time in life when a person becomes sexually mature, typically occurs between ages 8 and 13 for females and ages 9 and 14 for boys, for males. And if you see some of the structures, I mean, the things that you see, the clinical significance of puberty that you see in stages will be no hair for stage 1. Then you have a downy hair, stage 2. Then scanty terminal hair. Some people you just have scanty hair. And the terminal hair that fills the entire triangle overlying the pubic region. Then also you have terminal hair that extends beyond the inguinal cyst onto the high, places. So these are the conditions that you will see when somebody is actually growing. You say this person is maturing. But if you don't see any of this, then you know that the growth has been stunted somehow. Then you need to seek for advice from a clinician. All right.
Okay, thank you. Now let's look at something about internationally. When we look at races and ethnicity, would you say some of these growth hormones, the effects on the negative end are prominent in some? Because I mean, if you look at, let's say, take somebody from the United States, structure-wise, and somebody from Africa, you can see differences in their structure. Is it genetic or is it just environmental?
Okay. Yeah, I like the way you put it, because sometimes people don't understand that area very well. In United States here, people have what they call is a land of freedom where there's milk and honey. So a lot of people take that honey and milk so much that when you see them, they will look like giants, because they've already, because there's nutrients, and also there is food for them to eat, and also they eat. Some people eat in excess, and so they develop, they develop their body in such a way that they look like a giant, really. And compared to some other nations like Africa, for example, some third world countries, see, if there's no enough food, people look so
emaciated,
no muscle mass. You're looking at someone that's not eating for 3 days in a row, or someone that are just eating a meal in 2 days. So you can compare that structure of that person to one that has eaten not only 5 times a day, but has been eating excessively, because the food is available. So, like you said, I would rather say that the growth here in the United States is more consistent with the environment, they find themselves. And also, in if you want to look at it, graphically, we can say, okay, it's because so amount of food is available. That is why this person is this, but in Africa, it's not like that. Why some parts are having what they're supposed to have, some parts are not really having what they're supposed to have. So you cannot measure for example, if you bring 2 people together now from United States and the other one is from Africa, you see that one actually will look malnourished than the other. That's a fact.
So you think it's more of nutrition than genetics?
Is both. It's both. Because even if you have the nutrition and your genetic is not perfect, then guess what? There is some kind of things that will be happening in your body. The genetic is there, but most importantly is the availability of the nutrition, which makes, the genetic, when they say the genetic, there is no source of nutrient, it becomes something else. So the growth will only happen when there is a sustainability of those nutrients, in the environment, and they are reachable, they are available for people to consume, for them to be able to, grow as they should. So like I was saying earlier, America, Europe, and all those first world countries, they have the opportunity of providing for their citizens these things that we are talking about. Good food, continuous, availability of food. People eat 3 times, even 5 times a day, so you can't compare that with other countries that they barely can even make 1 meal a day. So that is where the problem is and it's not like and they can grow crops, farming could be done, but some people are all running to the city now. They don't want to stay in the villages anymore. They want to come to the city, and the city is not providing what they need. So I think that area needs to be addressed. Need to be addressed.
Oh, all right. Yeah, because there are some people that, no matter what they eat, they will eat, and maybe by virtue of the fact that their metabolism is high or something, you wouldn't see that, appreciable growth or something. And some too hardly eat, and they keep growing and growing. So it's all a matter of, how your body is behaving, your body behaves the way.
There's one thing that I found, and now that I'm just, trying to check on some information. You say bone age, say P less than or equal to 0.05 was significantly overestimated in Asian and Hispanic children. these children appear to mature sooner than the African American and white peers. This was seen in both male and female subjects, especially in girls aged 10 to 13 and boys aged 11 to 15. See, so race, like you said earlier, probably be a factor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me take a quick ad and then we'll do maybe a couple of minutes and then we can call it a night.
This is not your typical tea. The Fumigio Herbal Tea by Glucose Care International is a nutritious drink and a natural blood glucose reducer. Gymnema plant, the active ingredient in the Fumigio Herbal Tea, suppresses the absorption of carbohydrate ingested from your diet. The green tea content in the Fumigio Herbal Tea promotes rejuvenation of dead cells, detoxification of your system, stimulates the pancreas to release insulin, and improves metabolism. Drinking 1 sachet of Fumigio Herbal Tea after meals prevents the rise in blood sugar levels, suppresses appetite, and improves bowel movement. Drinking Fumigio Herbal Tea regularly after meals can also prevent type 2 diabetes. We encourage you to drink Fumigio Herbal Tea 3 times in a day, coupled with mild exercises to maximize its benefits. Fumigio Herbal Tea has been approved by the FDA. Toxicity test conducted by SGS, so it is safe and non-toxic. A product of Singapore. With Fumigio Herbal Tea, your peace of mind is guaranteed. Call our shop now on 0245 810 623 and set your path to good health.
All right. For some time now, we've been talking about know your numbers. And as I said earlier on, and concurred by Dr. Louis, everything has to do with numbers. Whether it's geography, whether it's English, whether it's math, everything has numbers in them. And what we've been treating today, the growth hormones has numbers in them. Dr. Louis mentioned the suppression test, the stimulation test, all have values that we need to attain. If you don't have those numbers or not close to, then your doctor can say that either you are too high in those hormones or you are too low. So as a parent, if you realize that your children are not growing the way they're supposed to, because if you go to see your physician, which we recommend you do annually, they will have a chart. The chart, as plotted, will indicate the pattern of growth of your child, because at certain ages, they have to manifest certain physical manifestation or structure. If they are too low or too high, then your doctor can point it out. If you have a child that is, let's say, 12 years and maybe weighs 180 or 200, then we have a problem. Or if you have a 6-year-old who weighs maybe 2 pounds or 3 pounds, then you have a problem. So you have to look at all that. As a parent, you have to be concerned. That's how we recommend that you do your annual checks and make sure your providers are looking at the growth pattern of your children, because all of them have charts. They have a chart that the doctors can look at and they can tell you, oh, your child is growing normally. The hormones are shooting how they should shoot. They are appropriate, firing on all cylinders. And they realize that they are not doing as they should, then there's a concern. I know of some kids that are 8 years, but then they're still not growing. And even some of us adults, we can't compare ourselves to those who are 6 feet or 7 feet. I mean, all of us wish we were 6 feet and above, but it's not everybody who is going to get to that. Maybe when we're kids, if our parents have monitored us and realized that we're not as tall as we should, maybe they would have taken us to the doctors to check our hormone level. But unfortunately, who was going to check for us? Because they didn't even have that knowledge. All they cared about is just get you some gari and shito or soup and eat and go and sleep. They were not bothered. As long as you had life, that's all. But now that we are doing this, you can know that if your child is not growing as they should, then it should be a concern, because you don't want to wait till they are above puberty or above certain age, because when the body gets to a certain age, you don't grow anymore. I don't think anybody is growing any taller after 18 or 21. You have to do all your height between when you are born and 18 or 21 thereabout. After that, whatever height you have, that's it. I mean, when I got to 5'6", 5'7", I stopped growing. I can't go in. I can't do anything unless I wear high heels. So we have to check those.
Yes.
All right. So that's what we've been looking at. We're looking at the growth hormones. We'll have another topic for you next week. But then before we leave, I'm going to let Dr. Oluwade give us the closing remarks. If he has something he forgot to mention or we need to know before we go, Doc, it's on you now.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Dr. Boyson, for having me. And
You're welcome.
Like you said, people should be more, concerned about the growth of their children, be more sensitive to it, and they look forward, to helping them, grow naturally. And also, if there's anything that is hindering their growth, you should, notice it early and also ask for intervention at a early stage, so that at least they will thank you for that later on in life. In closing, I just want to let you know that some of these things, although they might say in some countries they are available on the counter, they can buy them, but please don't use any growth hormone, supplements or anything on the counter without consulting your clinician, because it's very important. This is what can affect you, drastically, and you don't want that. You want the right measurement, and also you want the right application of this into your body, because once it's done, something that has to do with your hormone system is really, really very, very, difficult, and you don't just want to do anything, on the other side. So thank you so much for listening to me today, and I'm looking forward to feedback and also comments from Dr. Boyson as we go along. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And I particularly like the puberty age that you spewed out for girls 8 to 13 and then boys 9 to 14. So as parents, if you have a child between the age of 13, that is when you're expecting her puberty, her menstrual cycle to begin. So these are the ages to watch for. Of course, if you have a daughter who begins to menstruate before 8 years, that's a concern. So, and even 8 years, even up to 10 will be a concern to me. You're looking at 12, 13, 14, thereabout, because the older they get, on that bracket, the safer for you, because within that bracket, which means between that age, that child can get pregnant anytime. For those of you who don't know, once they begin the menstruation, which means their eggs are ready, they are ovulating. If any rascal boy worries them, they can get pregnant. So we have to be very cautious. Between that age, you have to monitor your kids. Once they get to that menstrual cycle, something to watch out for. And then for the boys to 9 to 14, this is where they are. If you're talking with your child, between that age, it could be the 9 years that Dr. Oluwade mentioned, or the 14 years, or maybe sometimes a little over, when the boy's voice begins to break and he begins to assume some baritone voice. Maybe if he's been singing treble all these years from maybe 7, 8, 9, he gets to 13, 14, and realize the voice begins to dip in, and now he's singing, bass voice song. Then you know that, oh, okay, boy, what's going on? And then that's when you have to watch out. And at that time too, they are also in their puberty, they are also producing spermatozoa, sperm. If they also accidentally go and do something with some girl that's also explained, then they can get pregnant and have what we call the teenage pregnancy or children. So we have to watch for when they get to that age. Please take very good care of your children, because at that age, they are ready to procreate. They can also bring children into this world. And you can imagine a child bringing a child into the world? You don't want to do that. So we have to be cautious. If they've been just going about and not being mindful, then we have to start being careful, because if they are leaving the house and going to other places, you have to be very cautious. Say, know where they are going, because anything can happen. They will say, okay, we want to experiment. And that experimentation could lead to teenage pregnancy or whatever. So we pray that none of those things happen. But then it's very important that we know, because ignorance is no excuse. Go to Erwan, read. These days, everything is on the internet. Google, just put in any keyword, whatever you want to put in. Rather, if you put in Dr. Oluwade, it will spew out a lot of things for you. A learned man, a doctor, and all that stuff. So just put in any topic, teenage pregnancy, puberty, learn about them, know what your children are going through, know how their bodies are behaving, so you'll be in a better position to make sure you're taking good care of them. Because at that age, you don't want them to be going anywhere in the night and all that crazy stuff and going to people's house, because some of these men can be pedophiles, so you want to make sure you are protecting your children. All right, so Doc, thank you for the age range. I mean, it makes us alert to know that when between these ages, we have to be very cautious and know when our children, when their bodies begin to change because the hormones have shifted and other things are setting in. Well, thank you, Doc, for making another session with us. I know you are very busy and you have to run on to do other things, but we appreciate your coming on tonight. For those of you who came late, please go to YouTube or Facebook and you will get us on Era One Radio. Put in Health is Wealth, it will come out. Go to YouTube, you just type in those keywords and it will speak out to you. Listen and share with your friends because some of these things, you won't have them live like Dr. Leo did. So, Doc, thank you. If God willing.
Thank you too.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good one. All right.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Have a blessed weekend.
All right. You too. Bye.
Aden urefiana se otumi manya eni aba aden wasu mani su afosunade aden meba aden kra ya useni da sosa eni da sonsa kra eni da sonsa yo eni da sonsa ya mensubi eni da sonsa eni da suwa eni da sonsa oh adio eni da sonsa